it's time to work out a bite-sized vlog on the latest Jason Statham movie, which is none other than A Working Man. I had kind of like a gradual respect to Jason Statham movies ever since I watched The Beekeeper, and then I kind of stumbled into some of his other movies. I could probably say that he's one of the most underrated actors there is. I mean, he's not kind of like the greatest actor, but the kind of movies that he does, I could say that it is probably one of the better modern action stars that there is, and thankfully he doesn't need to be kind of like in a superhero movie. Just being kind of like this action man in the style of all those cheese fest movies, almost there's the Sylvester Stallone, the Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. We kind of need these kind of movies. But a coincidence I talk about Stallone because he's also involved into this movie. And ever since I saw the trailer, I was like, okay, it's a Jason Statham movie. Time for some popcorn flick. And that's it, nothing more. And I just went to see it. And I do like it as much as I did with The Beekeeper. And there's some things that acted a little bit different, but I don't have kind of like the heart to say that it was a terrible movie because it isn't. It's a movie about you see the trailer, you probably expect what you expect, and well, you get it. And when the cards are played right, it plays right. And this is no exception. In this case, well, it's pretty much a basic plot. It's about Jason Statham. He plays this construction worker who, of course, like every Jason Statham movie, he was also a former hidden someone, whatever it is. In this case, he was a former mercenary. He fought on I don't remember which wars, but basically he was a war guy, and now he works in this construction job. He works under his kind of like Latin American family who are running down the building construction and all this stuff. He gets along very well, but also he shows his tough side when he defends one of his workers from these kind how could I say land? What was it called? The people that extorts money out of it? I don't remember. But basically, you get the idea that it's pretty much a Jason Statham movie, and the plot very kicks in when the daughter of the boss she gets kidnapped, and after. And after so much deliberation, if he has to do it or not to do it because of his other thoughts, then he decides, you know what? This family helped me get a job, and while I'm struggling with that, it's pretty much kind of like this rich Latin American family. They're kind-hearted. They have family, and the daughter is a little bit precocious, but not in a bad way. But basically, the daughter is kidnapped, and Jason Statham has to decide to find the kidnappers. And well, what you expect from an action movie is a thriller. He kicks ass, nothing more, nothing less. And I will say that there is of course this range of acting, but nevertheless, despite that there is kind of like this cheesy acting, sometimes over the top characters, you can't help to, if you are in the mood, kind of like heavy, kind of get a smile on their face, and a lot of the things kind of feel a little bit ham-fisted, but at least again play the card. Like for example, you do root for Jason Statham as a character because at least they build him up a little bit, kind of like as a character that. Despite that, not only he is known for his mercenary skill, but it's also known that he has that he's trying to find a stable job. He also dealing, with how can I say? He has a little daughter who he is kind of battling a custody against his grandfather, who the grandfather basically kind of father-in-law for Jason Statham. the father-in-law basically doesn't like him because he blames him uh, for for the mother's death. And although it doesn't necessarily involve too much for the movie, but it kind of leaves kind of like an emotional cause of why Jason Statham is hell bent on going all over wreaking hell on the bad guys in order to rescue their daughter, because you can tell that he's hard on, but he's also understandable. With one of the lines that I really like is like, "Hey, you have a daughter, so this you only need this kind of lines about saying that, well, there is no such empathy for people who doesn't value other people's lives." And well, there's some the bad guys are, of course, the kind of like the typical two-dimensional bad guys. And although for the kind of movie, that's kind of like the point. They're destined to hate them, because you see them, they're horrible, they're mean-spirited, they're cynical, they're evil, some in a cartoonish way. Most, of course, that the more deeper he goes into the rabbit hole, you see that it's kind of like a big thing. It's basically basically the kidnappers is a human traffic ring that is involved in a big family of Russian crime syndicate that even has kind of like its brotherhood, its own rules. And well, basically Jason Statham just poked the tiger, and he catches the attention. And it's very interesting to see how much the kind of like both the brotherhood, the two main villains that capture the girl, they kind of try to outdo themselves. Oh, there's corrupt police too. And also Michael Pena being kind of acting like the Penguin in a sort of way. And of course, you're gonna get kind of like the cheesy action scenes that you're gonna like. And if you're used to it, there's nothing much I have to say than to stretch this vlog long. I will say that this was kind of like a refreshing movie, and I do agree that sometimes these kind of action films is more enjoyable when you watch it, on the big screen. Okay, maybe I will say that maybe the movie does drag on a little bit for as a 2-hour movie. Some things kind of feel like it drag on, but but it's also one of those that as long as you are interested, if you get captured by some of the stuff that this movie has, the action is not gonna be pretty much a problem. That's all I have to say. And this working man of a movie, well, it all worked out.